let's do it.
Welcome to Living, Breathing, Having a Good Time. I'm your host, Sierra Cooper, Life Unleashed, and today we have a very special guest with us, Sean James. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
We met at PodFest 2025. You caught my eye. I walked in and I saw you with your group, and you really stood out to me as a businessman. And your background is an MBA in finance and wealth management, and you had multiple companies now. You're a very interesting individual with a former background with the Minnesota Vikings, the NFL. So I wanted to get you in and do a brief overview, not just on your background, but I know you have a lot of new and upcoming projects that you've been working on for quite some time. So what exactly is the story of you?
Well, thank you for having me on. It's always nice to have these conversations. I haven't really done this in such a long time. I used to do it a lot. And I think it was like post-COVID where, people were starting the whole podcast. Um, um, the sector kind of blew up and everyone was on a podcast. So it's been a while. And obviously, you had an impact on me. I think we had a really good conversation the first day that I was there. And I was interested in all the things that you were doing in wellness and your background and your story. So I think, when you find common beliefs and common values in people, it's a lot easier just to have a great conversation. But yeah, thank you for having me on. I am located in New York City. A little background on me. I grew up in the Midwest, a small town in the middle of Kansas, a small town called Hutchinson, Kansas. And then went on to play college football and was lucky enough to get invited to the Minnesota Vikings training camp and was with the Vikings for 2 seasons. And then I had a stint with the Chicago Bears for a season. So that was a big part of the activation of who I became. I think those obstacles and the thing that ties to being pressured and being under pressure, I feel is like a privilege. And I think one of the things that I really love about how I started and how I've been able to cultivate some of the things of what I did as a young Sean versus now about to turn 57 is you look back and reflect on some of those things. And I feel like, you know, the idea that pressure was always on me, I felt as a young boy. I feel like pressure is something or someone that believes in you. And I feel like, to pressure defines you and who you are and also who you're not. And so a lot of that ties into who I became, I think. Looking back through my 30s, going to business school, also went to law school at Fordham. You look at all those different obstacles and things that I never thought I would actually do. And here I am, about to turn 57 years old and met you a year ago and we're here talking about life. And I think that that's really what it's about, the impact that you have on others, the journey to where you want to be, what you want to become, and the people that you impact and the people that impact you. So,
Absolutely. I mean, I was so interested in you when I met you because you just really stood out among a lot of people there. You had charisma, you had confidence, you had character, very well spoken, very well educated, you're self-made. I think for a lot of people listening, it's extremely impressive to meet someone that believed in themselves enough to overcome and persevere obstacles because it's like you said, you came from this little town in the Midwest, did I. I did too, Northwest Ohio, right? And no one knows where Defiance is. And, you name Kansas and can't, people hear Kansas and they go, well, where in the hell are you from?
yeah.
But you really made your way and you did it step by step. And I think for a lot of people coming up in society now with this new generation, a lot of people are looking at the world in different perspectives where they don't understand you don't just get satisfaction, convenience right now when you want it. You're very successful, but you built that in baby steps over time.
Yeah.
And for you, so I have to ask because it's all congruent. As you know, I'm doing a medical corporation. I've got a nutrition line. I've got all these things. I'm a sports medicine therapist, et cetera, et cetera. But when did you actually find yourself, right? Because so football career really toughed you up, you had some setbacks, you had some letdowns, you had some great opportunities, and then you've got the finance world, you've got law. So obviously, I mean, you combine that with business, that makes sense, to know a little bit of an outlay of that groundwork.
Yeah.
But then, you just bounced off and became your own entrepreneur. So what would you say to that?
That's a loaded question. I think I've become many different things and have redefined myself over many different losses. I think part of it is being putting yourself in the game of life. The game of life is hard, and I think that we're part of this instant gratification. I experience it, you experience it every single day on social media, of the things that we want, and the things that we look at, and the things that activate our brain. And it's scary. There's good in it, there's bad in it. But I'm old enough that I kind of straddling both, the millennials and the Z's and the X's. I'm an X. So, at 40, I think I really became clear on, the things that I didn't like. And it took me a decade from 30 to 40 to really understand that. I think when you go through a divorce, you fall in love and you look at family, what the values of family and faith is, and those things don't work out for you, it can really there's hardships in that. And I think for me, it really helped me understand what it is to really take a loss. And I think all those things, activated from 8 years old playing the game, right? So many people are playing the game from the sidelines, but they don't want to put themselves actually in the game. And I think I've been punched in the face. I've been cracked in the head. And I think part of success is just getting back up and doing it over and over and over and over. And I just don't stop. I deal with a lot of different things. And I think part of that is, having a purpose and understanding what that purpose is, and really just listening and keeping your mouth shut and listening to the people that know more than you. And I think I've been very good at that.
I tell my daughter that all the time. You can be 18 this year, and my piece of advice is you walk in to a room, you're the dumbest person in the room, listen, because everyone around you knows something a little bit more than you do. And you
Yeah.
have mentors, right? In all these facets, and they give something valuable to you. So I got to ask you, so while we're on this topic of setbacks, because you're so successful now, and I'm sure you look back over the years and you're like, wow, like sometimes you stop probably and you go, it's amazing. Like I made it. And
Yeah.
for a person, my father made it. He was very successful. He was self-made. I think there's something to appreciate about that. You weren't handed that. It was something that you took off with. You had a vision, and maybe it stopped, but then you had another vision because you knew that there was something special inside of you that you wanted to share with people. Uh,
Yeah.
for you, what was your first major setback? And I gotta ask you this because I think a lot of kids nowadays, right? They have these expectations. Like I interviewed a person that was going to go into the NFL, and he didn't, and that expectation like set him off kilter for about 3 years, and then he got back on the train of life and said, okay, I got to remodify this, and God put him on a brand new path, and he's extremely successful now as a motivational speaker, an author, a writer, all these things. What was your first major setback, and how would you tell people uh, some tips or some viewpoints on how to actually deal with something like that?
Yeah. I don't think it's realistic, but I think the big one is being cut. by the Vikings being released. I think, at that point in your life, you're 22, 23 years old. Most people are graduating college if they went to college, and they're really just kind of developing. I think men, for the most part, are way more immature and just the reality of what adulthood is and what's life going to look like after you've, you know, had this tunnel vision of making it and not being so-called successful. I mean, the NFL is an acronym for not for long. So these ideals of being able to get to the NFL and, even play a season, play 2 seasons, 3 seasons, which is unheard of for the most part. There's only, I think 8,500 former players. So I think once that stopped, not too many people get to dress up at 8 years old in a uniform and get to do it at 28. There's very few Derek Jeters or Prince Fielders that get to dress up and do something that they did as a child and make hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's a reality check. So I say it's not very realistic because it's a hard fall, but that fall is no different than a fail in business, a fail in a relationship, a marriage, or anything else. You just have to literally always say this, and this is something that I take a lot of pride in. There's 30,000 days that we all going to be on this planet. But right at this very moment, you're the youngest that you're ever going to be. So right now, I'm
You can always start
56.
over.
I'm 56 and almost
You
57.
look great. You look great. Hey,
So no,
listen, my
and I
birthday,
reference my age.
you
I
better
reference.
you better remember me in a couple of days because I'm
I,
going to be 39. Okay?
I can't wait. But I reference my age because I think people think that you know the way that you look defines your wisdom, your education. It really defines on what you've experienced. I always say that education is knowing, experience is doing, and I've done a lot. And
Mhm.
so that's literally, I would tell everyone out there, if I could give you some advice, go out there and experience everything that you possibly can. Fail in a business opportunity, even if you lost money. The ideal is that did you learn from it and what did you do wrong? And I think some of the conversations that we've talked about with your business,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's all based off, you want someone that's
Because
done.
I asked your opinion because I really do value your
I
opinion.
appreciate it.
And I am gonna consult with you because I do find you very inspiring. It's a nice thing to have an outside opinion that has been there, done that, that chose to go into finance and wealth management. And out of curiosity, whatever, so the NFL, the sport, the love for the sport is one thing. You you have an MBA in finance. Whatever was it because you were good at math and you said, "Hey, maybe I should do this." Did you just have something fall on your lap that caught your eye? How did you ever find your path in that?
Well, I think my first passion was I was a certified NFL agent in 1995, and I was able to get into Fordham Law School. And even though I don't practice law, that experience really taught me a lot about paper and contract and papering people up and what contracts mean. And it taught me about law. But when I was in law school, I was fascinated with business law because business people are different than lawyers. Business people care about the bottom line, money. And I like money.
Right,
So
right.
money helps, activate a lot of different things. Money, I will argue anyone that, money can't buy happiness, but it sure in the hell can help you get through some hard times. And I know that because people call me up a lot that are going through hard times that need money. So
Yeah.
I'm a testimony that money does help. That being
Uh,
said, I want to get to what you asked me. Um, you don't really know. I think it's really about your curiosity. I think that I'm someone that's extremely curious about the world and about people. And I knew that when this opportunity came to me, that I could get into a really good school and go to, a George Washington University that was tied to Columbia University, that I would be around the best professors. And I knew that I could learn. And I was 39 years old when I went to business school. And that's
wow.
another reason why I
Wow.
reference age, because I think, as I said, going back to my comment about you have 30,000 days to exist on this planet, you're never too old to start something now. And I saw that opportunity as like, well, it's only going to be time. And if I could do this 2.5 year program, I can learn and understand what's going on right now. I haven't been in school since 1996, and now it's 2012 or 13 when I went to business school. So those tie-ins are really just activating relationships, which is what I'm going to answer the question that you asked me. Relationships are the key to everything in life. It's really about the impact that people have on you. It's not a book or an education. It's really about how people see you, the same way that I'm on this podcast with you right now. You saw something in me, I saw something in you, and we agreed to do something that we could share with other people. And that's really what business is. Business is no different. You have a product, you sell a service, you can own a gym, you can own a Fortune 500 company, you can have financial products that you sell. At the end of the day, are you really helping people? And those are the things that activated me. So I'm curious about solutions. I'm curious about the bottom line. And that's the difference between an MBA and a law degree, is that MBAs are really about the bottom line. What is that circle number? What is the total, and what are we going to get? And how does that impact other people around us?
Well, and you answered that fantastically. And I think for a lot of people watching, right, because they get all these convoluted things in their head over time. Oh, I'm too old. They make these excuses and they blame shift everything in their life for what hasn't happened to what already happened, but they had a choice. So you made choices over and over and over again to grow, to learn, to exuberate yourself as the bottom line. That's your foundation is you, and I think that's really huge.
But I think the key word, can I say this?
Yeah,
The key word in that take is curiosity. Um,
curiosity is
the,
huge.
the
I think.
curiosity to want to know is more important than just knowing. Right? The curiosity to want to do something is more important than education. So your curiosity is what's going to keep you ahead of the game, because people that are curious are the ones that actually solve problems and change the world. It's not someone just knowing, right? Education is one component of that. And I think that there's so many young people that are misguided in, oh, I have to have an education. No, you need to know and experience life. And education can open those doors for you to actually meet people, and people are the ones that you actually have to work with to get things done.
Well, I was going to say to take risks, right? I mean, if
Yeah.
I would have been meek and mild, here I do. Here I show up to Podfest with my producer, Kimbro, and I'm sitting there and I know hardly anyone. And if I wasn't social, if I wasn't outgoing, I would have never met you. I mean, I think I was the one that presented myself in front of you and I said, hey, it's really nice to meet you. I'm so and so. And by the way, do you want to take a picture? Which that was a great picture. But we had a great time talking about all my aspirations. And I am very curious. I have not done everything that I want to do yet, but I'm continually working towards different viewpoints that I want to get across to other people. And that comes to my question of, so you were an athlete, you were in law, you were in finance, or you still are in finance, wealth management, um, and you're curious. And so now you're with or you're the president of a company for hyperbaric oxygen. And that really intrigued me because in
Hmm.
my future medical centers, my buildings, with what you've developed over time, I definitely want to put that in my practice. I mean, it just makes sense. So, tell me a little bit about what inspired you to go specifically niche in that direction.
Well, I'll go back to the core of what we talked about: relationships, education, and curiosity. I've always been fascinated with wellness and tech. I'm in fintech, so those words basically blend together. Wellness and technology are really where the assets and the sector is going to be, a $90 billion industry by 2035. It's bigger than finance right now. It's as big as real estate. Wellness and technology, people that are around the age of 38 to 60 are spending more money and living longer and taking care of themselves than they ever have. So the core of it is met someone through financial literacy. We were doing programs, and it was a mutual friend that introduced me to him. And he worked at a family office. He's a New Yorker, born and bred New Yorker, but he's Japanese descent. And he was managing a lot of multimillionaires' money in a family office in Japan. So he lived in New York and he lived in Japan. And as this came about, one of the clients that he was managing was the owner of the company that I am now president for in the US. And I was basically recruited to bring this company into the US and to make it go public. They have been around for 26 years. They own 99% of the Japanese market and 90% of the Asian market. They're the number one hyperbaric company in Asia. And so there's a lot of history there. And the project itself is one of a kind because it's modular. It has the ability to go in any small room because it's built out in spaces where a lot of hyperbaric chambers, as Americans know them, are these casket-like hard things that people get in and they close it and they stay in there for a long period of time. He did something that really was unique because there's spaces that are tied around rooms where there's TVs and you can go in with your clothes on, and it's an experience that's tied to community, which is more than one person, and you can share ideals and do business meetings and emails and all the things that you want to do, and not feel like you're taking your clothes off to get into a cold plunge or red light therapy or cryo. And so I was fascinated by it because I'm claustrophobic, and one of the
I
things,
do a little bit.
yeah. So when he brought it to me and I was able to go to Japan and experience it and you know understood what my role was going to be, one of the things that I thought was really important was building out this showroom that I'm sitting in right now because it's an experiential product. It's something that you actually have to go in and experience. And I think so many people know about it, but they don't really know what it does. They have never really experienced it. And when they experience it inside of one of these rooms, it's a whole different experience than getting into a chamber. So we're excited about it. And it's done really well. We've been activated since November of last year, so we're really just getting started. But it's an incredible product that honestly is changing the world in the sense of just what it can do for your brain.
Well, and I've got a question for you, right? Because I have a lot of experience and knowledge with this. But and there's a lot out there in the medical field, holistically, et cetera. I've got a friend, which I don't believe you met Teresa Ryle, but she will be opening her spot in Largo, Florida, with a Hungarian physician using a very specific type of liquid oxygen and et cetera, et cetera. What separates you guys from a lot of other different modalities? Not just taking your clothes off, but like towards like neurological conditions, cancer treatment options, what post recovery from surgery, injury, all of the above. Why would you say that this would be the reason for people to really look at this form of treatment first?
80% of cognitive diseases are based around inflammation. The number one thing that this does is decreases inflammation in the brain, the body, and every part of your existence. There's nothing on the planet that you can go into at sea level, get inside of a box, and pressurize oxygen that's tied to concentrated oxygen at the same time. It's not just oxygen, it's pressured. So it means that I'm taking you underwater and pumping oxygen into your brain, which activates so many things that go into your body. It's literally like a computer that says, okay, what's bad right now in the human body? And while I'm doing that, I'm putting oxygen within the blood, and that goes directly to the inflammation. We are all going to die from some form of inflammation. Inflammation of the brain is a stroke, inflammation of the heart is a heart attack. So that would be the number one thing that I would say. The number two thing is that one, we can't state that it will cure anything, but the reality is, I just got through talking to one of our clients who has a senior living facility, and here's a guy that has dementia, and with 30 sessions, he's no longer at that living center anymore. There's
Wow.
so many things that aren't documented just based off what oxygen in your brain does. And so
That's
it's
amazing.
so it's so new in the sense that people think they know. And this is something I want to say. I talk to so many doctors and they have so much knowledge and they know so much. But going back
Mhm.
to my anthem, which is knowing is education, doing is experience. None of them have actually done it. I'm like, dude, you don't really know anything about this because you haven't experienced it. So the number one thing that we do is we decrease inflammation all through your body, and that helps athletes get on the court quicker. It helps my mom, who is 77 years old, who's had two strokes, have more activity in her brain. It helps dementia patients understand that the only way that you can get oxygen to your brain is pressure and concentrated oxygen pumped into your brain at the same time. So the ideal that, I'm looking at one right now, I can look out at New York City, which is sea level, and get in that room, and within 15 minutes, I can be 15, 20 feet underwater with concentrated oxygen and sit there for an hour and come out taller, faster, better looking, and a better brain.
Well, and that's so important, right? Because I mean, cognitively, we've seen a huge decline with so many people because of environmental factors, food, etc., their choices to drink water,
Yes.
not drink water, the kind of water, etc. And I have to ask you, so when people actually go in for this, is this like you said, is it an hour-long treatment? Is it deciphered upon what's going on with them? How exactly do you monologue that?
Typically, they're 30-minute sessions, and how they're sold to the public are 30-minute, 45-minute, hour sessions. We usually do an hour session. And I think the most important thing is, experiencing with whatever the patient is feeling. Everyone's going to feel different. My first time my mom got in, she's a diabetic, two strokes. Once they got to about 1.1 atmosphere, she didn't feel good. So they had to pull her out. And now she's to the point that she goes to 1.3. So it's something that's tied to doing it enough that you're going to feel better based off the pressure. It's like getting on an airplane and the pressure in your ears. So it's all different based off
Just
the
out of curiosity too, because your mom is a diabetic, right? Is she type
yes,
1 or type 2? Type,
type two.
okay. Just out of curiosity too, to all your points, have you seen a decrease in her medications or in her levels as far as like with her type 2? Is it more manageable for her now? Have you seen anything like that specifically?
I can't tell you that because I don't deal with her medication. I would have to ask my dad. I mean, she's still very new. She's probably been doing it for the last 2, 3 months, probably since
Okay.
November. But yeah, I couldn't answer that question honestly without knowing if any of that has happened. But I do know that um, we haven't really done a lot of studies on diabetes and people that are doing it with type 1 or type 2 diabetes. But we're doing a clinical trial now. There's a lot of it in Japan, but it just doesn't, that stuff, for the most part, those documents don't help us in America. So we need studies that are done in the
No,
US.
they don't because I mean, look at how
Japanese
healthy
are.
they are
Yeah.
over there, right? Compared to living in the United States for multiple reasons. So even with this hyperbaric oxygen box, where you're moving, you're getting the blood flow, the lymphatic flow, the circulation going more. Off of this, are you guys going to be developing anything else or anything else new in accordance with what you're just projecting out into the United States now? I mean, I know you've been developing.
No, I think just like any business model, when you're trying to go IPO, you want to satisfy the banks so it becomes something that's bigger. I mean, I think that's my main goal is to educate. There's, I mean, I could show you a list of all the things that it helps. So it's really about educating businesses, med spas like yourself to really understand that this is an asset that can really help people from all ages of life, from 8 years old to 88. Um, and so we're literally like, we have one in a brain surgery center in Long Island. We have them in med spas all over the country. We have them in, team facilities from college to professional athletes. There's so many different things that tie to this helps everyone. And so it's really hard when people say, well, what is the demographic and who are you targeting? It's unlimited.
So what is the name of the company? if anyone is actually interested in getting a hold of not just you, but the company,
Yeah,
saying, hey, I really
yeah.
want this in my med spa.
It's called Sanso O2. It's Sanso is oxygen in Japanese, but where our original name is O2 Box. So if you look up Sanso O2 Box, Sanso or O2 Box in general, that's the Japanese name. We rebranded it when we got to the US because we wanted people to understand O2 Box doesn't really talk about oxygen. So we go by Sanso. So I don't know if you could see my background's down now, but I had a background there that actually was the name of the company. So it's Sanso, SANSO2.com. SANSO2.com.
Okay. And I know you also have your own podcast radio show, correct?
Well, I'm a part of one when I met you that was tied to something called Fame Exchange and Fame Coin. They're still in the process of putting things together. It's more of a financial stream that ties to bringing on anyone that's famous and how they can leverage their fame and their IP to create generational wealth. So yeah, they've started a lot of different production. It hasn't been activated yet, but that's why I wasn't there this year. Obviously, I'm involved with a lot of different things, but yeah, those are my guys. Fame Exchange, Fame Coin. It's a really good platform. Shout out to them, and because that's how I met you.
And well, I know. And so what's your top 10 pieces of advice for people that maybe are still building into their retirement, quote unquote retirement, or they own larger companies and preventable to mismanage whatever they're actually handling? What's your advice? How do you actually safely build, especially within society today?
Pretty loaded question. There's many ways to do it. I think the number one secret of someone that's not a secret are the Rockefellers, and that's life insurance. I think it's something that's not used as or looked at as a financial tool. I think people just think of death and they don't realize that life insurance is the number one way that wealthy people make money. And these are generational wealth type money. And what I mean by that is that the ideal that when you have children or you are a part of a family, that someone knows that they're not going to benefit from it, but they set you down and talk to you about what your job is when they're gone. And life insurance is the number one way to build wealth. To be able to have a life insurance policy at a very young age and to build into that is probably the number one investment, beating stocks, beating anything out there. And there's a 9% guarantee to 10% return on the stock market. It beats that. And I would sum it up with that. Find someone, including me, that really understands generational wealth and how you can literally build. The younger that you start a life insurance policy and pay into it, you can use it as a bank. You can loan against it. You can borrow against it. You can do a lot of different things based off a life insurance policy. And I would sum it up with that. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. There's so many other ways that you can lose your money, but this is the safest way. Because what we do know is that we know that we're going to die.
Yes. Yeah, we do. We
Yeah,
do.
we're guaranteed that.
Absolutely. Definitely. Okay. Well, hey, listen, Sean, it was very nice having you on the show. I know you're super busy, so I don't want to keep you for 45 more minutes.
You got me now.
I know, I know.
I
And
got it. No, I appreciate it. I'm glad that we finally got to do this, and I think it's I'm proud of what you do. I'm a fan. I want to say this to everyone out there that listens to this podcast: be better fans to the people that you love, and what that means is support them in the things that maybe you didn't do. Um, Encourage them to live out their dreams. And it's probably one of the hardest things for people to do, to see people that come from the same place that you come from and they do better than you. Your support is everything, and believing in something is extremely important. And your belief in them is pressure, and pressure is a beautiful thing. Pressure allows you to get things done.
oh, I work excellent. under pressure. I do. I actually feel like I perform better under pressure. And not that I procrastinate, but I was actually talking about this with another business affiliate of mine the other day, is at the same time where you do have to prepare for some things, some of the things that I find the best out of is not preparing 100% for.
Yeah.
So, and I've gotten so much back from that. So I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the show. You gave us a lot of really good advice, and I'm glad people are going to be able to take away a lot from this show with you. So if people want to kind of know more about you or know more about the companies that you're building or
Yeah.
even reach out to you, how do they find you?
So my personal website is Sean Sean Lewis Lewis James.com. It's just kind of like, all the things that I'm involved with. The things that I take pride in are philanthropy, obviously a serial entrepreneur, and you know, um, the businesses that I've started and I've sold, the business that I'm actively in. The other one is my business management company, which is called BQuest Management. That is BQuestMGMT.com. And then obviously I'm the president of this company called Sanso, SANSO2.com. We are, doing great things. We're in New York City on 45th Street, 140 East 45th Street, 2 Grand Central Tower. We're right by Grand Central Tower. Come by and say hi to me. If you're in New York, I'll give you a free session. Um, if you want to just learn about anything to do with hyperbaric therapy and what it does for every walk of life, I'm someone that I can help you with that. It's also a very good asset for your business. It generates probably 5 to 10 grand a month based off the prices that we're seeing throughout the country. So, very good thing to have for everyone.
Yeah. Oh, well, it sounds like it. And it's just a really smart business move and it's good for your health. So you can't beat it. I mean, it's really good.
I
So,
like that.
so anyway, so it was really nice to see you, to speak with you and let everyone know what's new and upcoming for you. So I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Bye bye.